Good evening. We start with more bad news for the High Street, as Debenhams confirmed it will be closing 2 stores in the Midlands. Birmingham Fort will go, as will the Debenhams in Wolverhampton, which only opened 18 months ago.
It's another bitter blow to the retail sector. Let's go live to our reporter Wesley Smith, who's in Wolverhampton city centre. Wesley, we knew that Debenhams would be announcing store closures, but we weren't expecting one of their newest to go, were we?
You know, it's a real shock for staff working here at Debenhams, but also for the city of Wolverhampton itself, a major blow. Because as you say, the store only opened here back in October 2017. There was a big fanfare when indeed it did open its doors. It came into the newly refurbished Manda Centre to replace the BHS store, which also had to close. Well, 18 months on, Debenhams itself now will close. It's a bright, shiny store. It's going to be a blow also to the Manda Centre because it is an important shop here, and there appear to be a number of other units which are vacant at the moment. I had a walk through the store early this afternoon. There didn't appear to be a massive number of people there, but obviously you have good days and bad. Also facing closure is the Fort, just outside Birmingham. That's the Debenhams branch at the Fort outside Birmingham. It's a smaller store, but it is terrible news for staff. So what has gone wrong? Well, we've all heard about the pressures of online, of course, but footfall is down. In the 6 months to March this year, 7.4% fewer people coming to Debenhams stores. We had reaction from people on the street here today.
You just haven't got the faith. You know, things don't happen overnight. You've got to sort of try and keep trying until things turn out.
For the likes of us, we don't necessarily want to shop at Zara and places like that. So, where do you go to shop?
If you look around here where we're standing now, there's all past 3 empty units there as well. It shows it's a dying town, to be honest with you. You can show everything's just going online, really, isn't it?
If Marks and Spencer's close, it would be the end of Wolverhampton.
So Wesley, the thoughts there of some people who may or may not be Debenhams customers, but what about the staff? Do we know more about the level of job losses?
There are no exact figures yet, Matt, because the hope is that many will be redeployed in other stores. But of course, if you come locally to work here, you may not want to have a long commute. That may be inconvenient, of course. However, nationwide, they're talking some 1,200 jobs which are at risk. The GMB union has issued a statement saying, although many will not be surprised by the closure announcement, this is devastating news for Debenhams employees who've battled hard to keep the company afloat. They'll join the tens of thousands of retail workers made redundant in recent months.
Wesley, better news for other Debenhams stores across the West Midlands, which didn't feature in today's list, but without being the voice of doom, we do know that there are further closures to come.
Yes, stores remaining open will include the big store at the Bull Ring in Birmingham, of course, Merry Hill, not too far from here, Lichfield, Redditch, Coventry, Stoke-on-Trent, Telford, Kidderminster, Hereford. But today, as you say, only 22 of the potential 50 stores to close eventually were announced. So we spoke to the Chief Financial Officer, Rachel Osborne, and she said now it's all about the bigger picture for the future.
No one likes to close stores. But this is about building a sustainable Debenhams for the future. And what we want to do is make sure that we protect as many jobs and as many stores as possible. And we have to, today we've not announced just closing the stores, but also a plan to reduce the rent bill that will help us save up to 100 stores, more than 100 stores, and 20,000 jobs going forwards.
So now Debenhams said that they're going to be renegotiating their rates with landlords. The government, for their part, say that they'll cut business rates by a third from this month, and 90% of retail properties, they tend to be smaller ones to be honest, will say that to spend £675 million on a future high streets fund. For reaction here now for the Wolverhampton South West MP, Eleanor Smith. First, what's your reaction to Debenhams going from here?
Completely disappointed as well, and I feel it for the staff that will lose their jobs, and the fact that this is going away from Wolverhampton. I mean, when it was open, as you said, back in October 2017, we actually had a funfair. We were so excited that they were going to come into our city centre, and now they're going. I'm very disappointed with Debenhams. I think they don't think about the community that they're supposed to come into. You know, that long term, that's what they should be looking at, but they just look at short-term profits.
How do you stem the feeling of depression, frankly, with high street stores closing in Wolverhampton?
I know. The thing is, though, the council is working to see other ways of doing it as well. What we're going to do, and we did this over Christmas, is look at small businesses, bring them in, artisans that have little